Yeah, I think.
Hikmet abi.
All right. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our panel discussion for this week. And we will have panelists from Turkey, Mustafa Hoca, and then Colin Hoca from the UK. And then we are continued reading that hereafter. And then where we left is last week is that the third point. I'll start, go ahead and just instead of summarizing the previous ones, and I will go ahead and read it. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam ajma'in. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Third point, no one should imagine that humankind is too tiny and insignificant for this vast world to be brought to an end and another realm. I am following that one from this your screen, but another realm to come to being simply for the sake of holding humankind to account. For human beings, while tiny in appearance, bear great importance as the masters of all creatures. For the human being is created in such a way that he or she is able to comprehend all things, manifesting universal worshipfulness, and thus acting as a herald of God's monarchy. They ask human beings spend only a brief amount of time on earth. Surely they don't stay here long enough to earn punishment that is eternal. But the answer is clear. Unbelief is such that it seeks to drag creation, which is something as valuable and esteemed as a letter written by God, down to the depths of meaninglessness and futility. Unbelief is an insult to all of creation, to existence itself, since it denies the manifestation of God and it rejects the reflections of his sacred names that can be found on all beings. Unbelief seeks to negate all of the countless proofs that demonstrates the truthfulness of a God Almighty. It is therefore a crime of infinite proportions and thus deserves infinite punishment. So far, let's um, discuss the third point, and then I'll go ahead and just put the ground and then give panelists the opportunity to discuss. I'll start with Colin Abi, if you are available. We'd
I'm
like to hear
available.
yours.
I'm available, but I don't know how useful I'm going to be. It's very hot here, and I didn't get much sleep last night. We're not used to hot weather here, that hot in the evening, so you have to excuse me if I'm not coherent. Um, yeah, it says no one should imagine that humankind is too tiny and insignificant for this vast world to be brought to an end. And I think there is either a verse, I think there is definitely a verse that if you kill one person, it's as though you kill the whole of humankind. Um, and so this human beings are extremely important because we are reflectors, and we should be conscious reflectors of all of the divine names. We've been created to understand the universe. We've been created in a way that makes the universe very familiar to us. Everything resonates with us. We are one with the things that we know. You know, this is a very old philosophical precept. You know, the ittisal alim wa ma'lum. You are one with the things that you know. You understand them because they talk to you, they speak to you. So now I'm looking outside at the leaves of the cherry tree, and it's raining, and it's been thundering, and we've had lightning, and all of these things resonate with me. They all appeal to various faculties that I have, not just my external faculties of sight and smell and touch, but to my inner faculties as well, to my lata'if, to my subtle faculties. And therefore, we bear great importance. Everything is subjugated to us. The angels are subjugated to us. You know what Allah says, bow down before Adam, to the angels. They all bowed down apart from Iblis, whose position was so high that he was among the angels. So the angels are all subjugated to us, and we see this all the time. We experience it. The fact that we're able to move about, the fact that we're able to function, is because of angelic action in creation. They bear Allah's amr. They translate His divine names into things that we can understand, so we can see Him. They are the filter through which we see Allah. So they are subjugated to us. So then, how can it be possible that a human being who is of such an exalted status, who is such a venerable creation of Allah, could stay here just for a very short time? The older you get, the more you realize that your time is limited. Of course, none of us knows when our time will end. But statistically, the older you get, the more you realize that it's close, it's near. And if that's all there is, then I would be not just disappointed. I would realize, well, I mean, it's an impossibility. It's an impossibility because the fact that we are able to commune with the creator of all of this, the fact that we are able to understand his names, surely means that there is another place, there is another realm, there is another world where everything will be reconstituted, everything will be resurrected, and we will have to be answerable. If you can scroll down a little. This is why unbelief is an insult to all of creation, because unbelief, and recently I've been speaking to some people who believe only in evolution and all of these crazy myths of the pseudoscientists, and the amount of how can I say it? I mean, there is Adama Qabul and there is Qabula Adam, right? There are some people who just don't believe, they don't believe because they don't give it much thought. And then there are those who are really fundamentalist in their denial of Allah. They are like the ISIS of the atheists, the fundamentalists, the Al Qaeda of the atheists. And they are constantly on the attack. And they are totally ungrateful. They see no meaning in anything. And I understand now, after many, many years, I used to think that atheism and denial was an intellectual position. It's not. It's a position, it's a psychological position. It's a psychological and emotional position because the intellect, the most that an intellect can do, and an impaired intellect, an intellect that's not working properly, is say that, oh, we can never know that there is a God, and therefore 50% there is, 50% there isn't. We have to be agnostic. That's as much as they can do. And that position is also untenable because then when you say to them, well, okay, if it's only 50% there is a God and 50% there isn't, how are you going to live your life? Now, we know that they're going to live their life as if there is no God. Now, that tells us straight away that this is an emotional choice. Because if I've never met any agnostic who lives their life as though there is a God. I've never met anyone who's done that, who does that. They all live their life, they think neutrally, but actually they're just taking the other side. So atheism is not intellectual. Atheism is the result of an emotional choice. And for those who are really, really atheist and who are fundamentalist in their atheism, it is a psychological disease and a sickness. And that sickness needs to be, there needs to be a therapy for that sickness, and that therapy is hell. That therapy is the fire. There can be, because it's a crime of infinite proportions and it deserves infinite punishment. Now, infinite doesn't mean necessarily forever. And also, this kind of punishment is very difficult to quantify because unbelief, you can't count unbelief. Unbelief is a state. This is why when it says fiha khalidun, they will abide therein. They will abide in the flames. It doesn't necessarily mean forever, eternally, but for an indefinite period, because they may never come out. They may never want to come out. They may never be able to be, how can I say, treated therapeutically to the point where their unbelief is neutralized. But definitely it is a crime of infinite proportion, because what they're saying is that everything in creation is meaningless. There is no goal to creation. Everything is futile. Everything is rubbish. That's what they're saying. So these are my initial thoughts on the matter. Sorry, it went on so long.
Colin abi, when it is hard that you're giving this type of information, inshallah, all the time it's gonna be hard. Then we will get a lot of good information. Thank you. Yeah.
Please don't pray for it to be 23 degrees at midnight in the
I
UK
won't.
with 96% humidity. Please don't pray for that.
Well, ours is 120 Fahrenheit right now,
I
so I
know,
think,
I know.
yeah, sorry.
There's no comparison, but
Yeah.
it's different here.
All right. Thank you so much for the great insights and discussion. And I'd like to just give the opportunity and chance to Mustafa Hoca to talk about the third point.
Okay. So thank you, Hikmet abi. I wanted to say something else, but since Colin Hocam has made a good introduction, I want to follow up where he left off about his discussion about atheism. Since this is one of the main points of this particular point, in part of so I remember discussing this before, but part of being atheism is about, I mean, why is it such a big punishment we are discussing? And part of it is about being ungrateful. So we have discussed, I remember, about how blessed we are and about all the bounties that Allah has given us. And it's it's countless bounties. And then when you are atheist, you're not just denying God, but you're denying all the blessings that Allah has given us, the life, the breath, and our body, and just existence itself, and so much and so on that we are being ungrateful of, if you're an atheist. So, but this is not the whole picture, as far as I understood from what Colin Hocam said. It's denial itself, the act of denying. A part of it is being ungrateful, but there is more to that, right? Is that a right understanding? Colin Hocam, would you like to say something about it? Denial
Ingratitude.
itself.
Yeah,
Right?
you're absolutely right. I didn't mention ingratitude as well, because ingratitude comes from when you take things for granted and you don't see them as blessings or bounties. You see them as just accidents of nature. And you may like them, you may enjoy them, but who are you going to be thankful for? Who are you going to be thankful to? So there's a lack of shukr. There's also you deny them as having any real meaning apart from the utilitarian nature of them, right? You can use them. If you can use them and you like them, then you will maybe pay attention to them. But if you don't, you won't even look at it, right? So, for example, I go outside and I walk past a tree which doesn't really look very attractive to me, and it has fruit which I have no interest in. Then that's ungrateful, because that was created for me to look at and to admire, because Allah put it in my way, on my path. Nothing is there by accident. But we don't notice these things. And atheists, especially the ISIS brigade of atheists, the Al Qaeda atheists, those who are aggressive, fundamentalist atheists, they are out there to, actively and aggressively and perniciously and dangerously attack the idea of Allah, the idea of a creator, the idea that we are accountable. And this is not intellectual. This is not an intellectual position. Shaitan is very clever and also very stupid. if you listen to him long enough, it's like politicians on the TV. They start talking and you think, oh, mashallah, but actually you find that 99.9% of them are idiots. They've just learned rhetoric. They've just learned how to say words that are magic words. The same as scientists. As soon as a scientist says science or scientific, everyone starts drooling at the mouth because this is a magic word. These are magic words. So Shaitan uses magic words. We see this in the 26th letter. I think it's the 26th letter when there is Shaitan, he talks with Shaitan. Shaitan comes out with all these ridiculous arguments, rubbish arguments, but on the surface, they seem quite okay. Why don't you be neutral? Say it wasn't Allah who revealed the Quran, and it wasn't humankind. Be neutral. You can't be neutral. There's no such neutral position, and atheism is not a neutral position. Atheism is a position that is taken consciously. It is a psychological stand. It is an emotional stand. It has no roots in intellectual, how can I say, intellectual integrity at all. Because as we said before, the most that you can be, if you go by Pascal's wager, right? Either God exists or doesn't. So there's a 50% possibility because no one can prove non-existence. Atheists cannot prove the non-existence of God, and they say that we can't prove his existence. Of course, we know that we can, but it's not the kind of proof that they would accept. So the most that they can do is to be agnostic, right? That's the very most that they can do. And as I said before, have you ever found an agnostic who has agreed that there is a 50% possibility of there being a God? When you say to him, okay, how are you going to live your life? He lives it as though there is no God. And that is, for me, empirical evidence that agnosticism and atheism are psychological positions. They're not intellectual positions. Now, coming back to what you said, these atheists who are very aggressive, why are they ungrateful? Who are they going to be grateful for or to? So they are kafir and ni'mat as well. Kafir and ni'mat is the one who says that these things that we see are not blessings. It's just matter, and it's meaningless ultimately. So that is also part of denial, and denial may actually be fueled by not seeing things as blessing. And the other way around, if you deny that there is a creator, then nothing is a blessing. It's just there. But it's definitely part of unbelief.
So can we give an example? Like, let's say I have a son and I give my car to him, and he drives it and he enjoys it, but he never thanks me, and I get angry about it. This is one part. But then I give him the car, he takes it and then he crashes it, or he uses in a way that I don't want him to use it. So this is something else. It's part of it is not being ungrateful, and when part of it is not, even this doesn't give this whole picture. I mean, this is such a crime, such a big crime. It's almost difficult to explain it with different examples.
You're right.
Yes,
You're right.
you're
Well,
right.
it's not quantifiable, is it? You can't quantify it. You can't say that I'm number 7 kafir or 8 or 9 or 10. It's not quantifiable because it's a state. This is why the punishment is so harsh. Because, if for example, if I steal some money, um, if I repent and if I pay it back, then that's it. Inshallah, I'm forgiven. But if I'm an unbeliever, how do I pay it back? You can't quantify it. It's unquantifiable. It's a state, it's a psychological state. And how do you deal with a psychological state? We know that we are supposed to ask people to make us halal before we die, right? Because in the hereafter, we're going to have to ask their forgiveness for what we've done. Now, if they forgive us, for example, I told you a lie. Please forgive me. You forgive me? Tamam, finished, right? But if I'm an unbeliever, where do I even start on the therapy for unbelief? Because this is like a stain in your soul. So how do you get rid of that stain? Then to stay in hell. has to be indefinite. Clearly. May not be eternal, but definitely it's indefinite. Sorry, Mustafa, I just hijacked your you were talking. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mustafa. Do you want to add some more? I don't know that if he hears us. But I just want to add one thing while we were waiting for Mustafa that I just wanted to say. This is basically cutting the old relationship among everything that with Allah. So that this completely cutting or covering the Asma Husna, right? Divine names fully, completely, and then cutting the bound between Allah and everything. And then everybody is, or all of the creatures, the bounds as well. So that if an apple is just becoming by itself, that means that it has nothing to do with Allah and nothing that the divine names that Allah is showing us. This is, I just wanted to add. Safoja, are you there? You want to add some more? Or?
Yeah, I mean, this chapter is so powerful. I just
Yeah.
had a connection problem 1 minute ago. Sorry about that.
No problem. Go ahead.
So there is, I mean, you know, sometimes when you read these passages, you know, there is this tendency, at least for myself and for others, I guess, to, you know, find yourself insignificant so that you will have less responsibility. When you realize that you are so significant, as this chapter suggests, then it is because the responsibility part comes in, and then you don't want to take that responsibility, so it's easier to be in the position of denial. So I guess that's, you know, since Colin Hocam was saying that this is psychological, this
Emotional.
agnosticism and atheism, maybe this is part of it. You know, they don't. So denial, or, you know, not being sure about the existence of God, is just an excuse to, you know, not take the responsibility of being a believer, because all the religions, in one way or another, especially in Islam, you have to have, you know, certain rules that doesn't just shape certain parts of your life, but the whole picture, the whole your whole life. And this becomes maybe kind of a burden, and, you know, in the West especially, they're so, you know, used to, and it's all bombarded on them to be, you know, individual. I am myself, I control myself, I am the, you know, so being self is about ego, and it doesn't want to be under any control. You know, unequivocal freedom, unconditional, unlimited freedom is the idea, as if it helps them.
Yeah.
But it actually doesn't. You know, Ustad explains this in many parts of the Risale-i Nur, that being under a ruler is much more comforting than being an unruly person, going on an unruly road. You know, if you realize that if you try to make yourself insignificant, actually you will fall into a deep state that, you know, you will get into a depression. So what is the point of living now? What's the purpose of life? There is no purpose if you don't believe in God, and if you're gonna die soon, it could be happen in any time, tomorrow or the next minute or whatever. So what's the point of living? And then there is this huge suicide rates in these countries, and predominantly because of lack of belief, I guess. So yes, this is a powerful chapter. It gives us as Muslims, you know, a purpose in life, and it's you know, gives the reason why the unbelievers will be punished because of the lack of belief. So that's my take. So I was taking some stairs, so I'm holding my breath. So sorry about that.
Don't
That's
hold
all
it
right.
too long.
Thank you so
Mustafa's
much.
just
Go ahead.
Hikmet, can I just say one quick thing and then I'll
Sure,
be
go
quiet?
ahead, Khalid. No, go ahead, Khalid.
Mustafa has just really, I mean, it was amazing what he said. He's just explained the appearance of the phenomenon of secularism, which began with the scientific revolution. And we know that the scientific revolution started with the astronomers who declared that the Earth is no longer the center of divine attention, is no longer the center of the universe, and that we are no longer significant. And this again was not a scientific movement. This was a philosophical movement and an ideological movement, just as atheism is both philosophical and ideological. Actually, it's not philosophical, really. Maybe it's sophistic, maybe, but it's ideological. And this is how it started, you know, by saying that the Earth is insignificant and human beings are just a tiny speck on a tiny planet a completely unimportant galaxy in a far-flung area of the universe, right on the edge. So why should we even think that we're important? We're not important. We're so tiny and insignificant. And you know, how can we don't have an owner? We are sahibsiz, right? We have no owner. Uh, we can do what we want, and look, poor us. You know, this resonated a lot. What Mustafa said. This is a psychological illness, and we make excuses because we don't want to be accountable. If you realize that you are the full-length mirror of Allah, and are able to consciously reflect all of His divine names, then you have a huge duty because you have to be a conscious mirror. You have to be a walking mirror of the divine names, just as our Prophet ﷺ was the walking Quran, right? We also have to be a full-length mirror for the divine names, and that is a huge, 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 what's the word? Responsibility. And of course, we don't want that. Of course, we don't want it. So we say, actually, no, there's no meaning to anything. Nothing is connected to anything. Nothing points to anything. All mane ismi. Nothing points to anything. Everything is self-referential. Nothing indicates anything except itself. And then that makes us unaccountable to anyone, really. And we can do anything we want, or so we think.
Great. Thank you so much for both of you. And then I just want to add that these are great discussion. I learned a lot. And I wanted to say, you remember that for a long period of time, but they said that when they were describing the human, they said humans are animals who are thinking. Humans are animals who are walking or speaking. So they said that it's just a regular that animals. And they started just greatly explaining that what the human is, and then master of all the creatures. It's not something like animals. And we learned that way, and we got imposed that type of thing. And humans are animals who can just think, who can just speak, that type of thing. So great, thank you so much that for everything. And I wanted to, there's a chat box that there's one, Adab said something, I want to read it as well. Also, do not say I'm nothing. What importance do I have that the universe should purposefully be made subject to me by an absolute all-wise one, and universal thanks required of me? If Ali Abi is here, that we can ask that if he wants to add or just
Don't think he's here. He was here before, but
okay,
he went.
Okay. Is there any other brothers who wants to contribute to that third point while we're discussing? Anything that you guys have any insight that you like to share with us? If not, I'll go ahead and continue to reading the fourth point as well. Then inshallah we can continue. Fourth point. In the story, we saw in those 12 indications that a king who possesses a temporary limited realm must of necessity possess another eternal infinite realm which is able to display the totality of his splendor, beauty, and power. Similarly, it is impossible that the eternal creator of this transient world would not create an eternal realm too. It is impossible that the everlasting maker of this fine but constantly changing cosmos would not create another cosmos that is permanent and unchanging. This world resembles an exhibition gallery, a field, a testing ground. It is impossible, therefore, that the wise, powerful, and merciful creator of this world would not also create a hereafter where the different purposes of this world are to be made manifest. There are 12 gates which open onto this truth, and those gates are to be unlocked by means of 12 other truths. Those truths are as follows. Instead of continue, I'd like to just discuss the 4-point as well, if you guys are okay with that, and to summarize and what we discussed in the summary, and then we can move on for maybe if we have time. Colin Abi, you want to continue that for the 4-point?
Yeah, I think we've seen this this argument before. You know, a temporary limited realm, someone who possesses a temporary limited realm must possess one. I mean, one may on the surface say, well, why? But if you think about it, I mean, in life, it's not like that. And we gave an example of, you know, a filmmaker makes a 2-minute trailer for a film, and it's so amazing and it's so brilliant and it's so wonderful, and it's a kind of film that you like, you know, like a psychological drama or something. And you see the 2-minute trailer, and you can't wait to see the whole film, you know, because the advertisement says it's going to be 2 hours and a half, the film, and you just see 2 minutes in the trailer, and then afterwards you find out that actually there is no film. There's just a trailer, and you know that this filmmaker can make a 2-hour film. You know, you've seen his talent, you've seen, you know, his aesthetic appreciation, you've seen his script writing ability, you've seen the brilliant acting just in a 2-minute trailer, and yet there is no film. It doesn't make sense. But we also know, I think maybe we should also say something before we give the floor to Mustafa, um, say a little bit about the methodology of Ustad here, because in the 12 indications that we had before, he was arguing from the creation to the creator, right? In other words, he was looking at the effect and he was arguing to the cause. And also, in arguing to the cause, he was also arguing to the existence of Akhirah. But in the next 12 truths that we're going to see, he uses a different kind of argument, and that's argument from God. It's what they call the argument from God. So he's going to use the divine names of Allah and use those as proofs. And this is a perfectly valid argument. If you've established the existence of God, which obviously we have, then you can use God as the premise of your argument. And this is what he does in the second half of the 10th word. So in the first half, it's arguing from effect to cause, and in the second half of the 10th word, he's arguing from cause to effect. It's very, very well done. I didn't realize this until I'd read it for about the 100th time, that this is what he's doing here. I just thought I might mention it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thanks so much, Colin Abi. Mustafa Abi, do you want to add anything that for the 4-point?
Yeah, Colin Hocam has explained quite well. Thanks for it. So can we say this is the argument is such as is in this indication? So until now it was induction. So and then the other parts would be the second chapter would be a kind of deduction type of argument. So, Colin Hocam, what do you think? Is that what you're explaining?
Sorry, Mustafa Jim, I was distracted for a second.
Okay, so the argument until now that we have been reading, so was that an inductive reasoning? and then in the second chapter it will be a more of a deductive reasoning.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally, yes.
Yeah.
So Ustad explained, described, and proved the existence of God and its relationship with the afterlife. And then in the second chapter, since we have established the existence of God and His names, Ustad will continue on, starting with the names of Allah and how it affects to the afterlife.
Yeah,
Right,
I think I think so, and it's very, very effective because once you've established that there is a God who is absolutely just, then you can use his absolute justice as a proof.
Proof, yeah. Great. Do you want to add more, Mustafa Hoca? That's it, or do you want to continue?
No, I don't have anything in mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just wanted to say one quick thing, and then we are making, Allah is just making, or we are, when we were in the social life as well, we have always some prototype. If you are constructing that some kind of house, they have a prototype, right? And at the end, that prototype is going to be completely destructed, but the real one is going to be happening. But the prototype is just giving us that idea that what's going to happen and what we are going to leave hereafter as well. So, or what we are going to buy. So when you create a little, not to create, but just to make a little robot, that is always some kind of prototype. And we do have some kind of robots that we are setting up. And at the end, that real one is going to be up. So this is all I wanted to say, but I just wanted to read one of the questions and then talk to panelists as well. Rijaya said, today I learned very interesting point from Colin Hoca. I thank him. Atheism is a psychological position, not intellectual instead. My question is, if someone is atheist and proud of it, shall we submit scientific proofs or shall we utilize emotional psychological arguments? I know many renowned professors in Turkey who are atheists and then proud of saying it. Again, thanks, Colin Hoca. Colin Hoca, what do you think about this? The question, what is your answer, or how do you address this question?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting actually. Rajai, thank you so much for posing those questions. If someone is an atheist and proud of it, we can't submit scientific proofs because the problem is we can't use science to prove the existence of non-rational things. Like angels are not irrational, but they're non-rational. You can't isolate an angel in a test tube in a laboratory, and this is the proof that they're looking for. This is why, this is this. They say, there is no proof that there is a God. Well, how do you know, Mr. Atheist? First of all, what do you understand by God? And they won't know. They won't be able to answer that. But even if they say something, you can say, well, have you actually traveled throughout the whole of time, past, future, and outside of space, to see whether there is a God or not? Because maybe God isn't as you think he is. And of course, they can't say yes, and we can't also show him, but they can't show his absence. They can't show his lack, his non-existence, right? So those who make Qabula Adam, those who say God definitely doesn't exist, this is why it's psychological and emotional, because they can't prove non-existence. You can only prove relative non-existence, right? I can prove that there is not an elephant in this room at this moment. Actually, I can't prove it to you because you can't see the room, but I can prove it to anyone. I can say, come, look in my house, show me where the elephant is. But I can't go through the whole of the universe to prove the non-existence of Allah. So an atheist is first of all a trickster. He says, I don't believe in God because there's no proof. Well, have you looked? I'm not going to say that you're going to find it because you'd be looking in the wrong place, because you can't prove the existence of a non-rational being, right? A being who is beyond time and space by looking in matter. So you have to use other means. You can't use scientific proofs. These people, okay, Recep says, I know many renowned professors in Turkey who are atheist and proud of it. Well, first of all, they're idiots. Sorry, but they are. And if they're proud of it, they're compound idiots, you know. They are, you know, jahil murakab, because the only thing that you can do is show how unreasonable their position is, and also show them that, you know, they are psychologically leaning towards atheism. It's not an intellectual. You can easily prove it's not an intellectual position, because, as we said before, the very most intellectually that you can become, you know, with any kind of justification, and as a materialist, is agnostic. You have to say, I don't know, and we can't know. That's as much as you can say. Atheism is taking a stand, and it's making a statement, and it's not an intellectual one. We've shown that.
Great. Thank you so much, Colin Abi. Mustafa Hocam, you want to add anything to the question, or?
Sure. You know, basically, it's trying to explain sun, the existence of sun in a daylight. You know, the existence of God is like it's the existence of sun in a daylight. So he will say, "Where is sun? I don't see it," and I will say, "Just raise your head and look at the sky. It's right there." And he's stubborn. He doesn't want to look at the sky. No, I want to see it right in front of my eyes. And I say, "It's everywhere." And don't you see the light? No, he doesn't want to see the light. I mean, it's so obvious, you know. You can make even small arguments about the existence of the science itself is one of the biggest proof of existence of God. If there is a system, there has to be somebody that puts that system in place. I mean, Ustad makes all these arguments throughout the Risale intellectually as well. But if he doesn't want to see it, for psychological reasons, as Colin Hocam said, and I also, you know, joined to that at that point, there's not much to do, I guess, and there is only one solution, as Ustad says, and that's the hellfire. Maybe I am
Psychological
a little bit too
emotion.
harsh on this, but that's, I guess, what it is.
That's okay. Thanks so much, Mustafa Hocam. Yeah, psychological, sometimes that emotional, and there's other things as well. So the one we are limited time. I guess the first truth that we can read it, but I just wanted to read that the Recep is. These are very known scientists that young people look up to. I constantly think about what can be done about this. Thanks, Colin Hocam. Okay, so let's just read the first truth, and at least that we can finish the first truth and discuss that. First truth, the gate of lordliness and sovereignty, the manifestation of the name sustainer, all Rab. God possesses both lordliness, Rububiyah, and absolute sovereignty, Sultanat, and it is through the glory of these names and that the cosmos comes into being, displaying his perfections and setting out the certain aims and purposes, both for creation itself and for humankind. Is it possible then that he would fail to establish rewards for those who respond to those aims and purposes with faith and worship? Is it possible that he would fail to punish those who reject his aims and purposes with scorn and unbelief? I think that if you can just discuss this one for the rest of the time, it'd be great. And it's Colin Abi. I'll give you the floor, and please just, what do you think? What would you like to discuss?
I think you should get. I think Mustafa should start this one.
Okay, Mustafa Hocam, so you start them this time.
So it's one of the main arguments, right, about the existence of afterlife is the first question: is he capable of creating an afterlife? And you start until now already established that yes, he is capable of creating an afterlife. And here also the first truth is, I guess, related in explaining this. If there is this sultanate, the sovereignty. And we now know it. This has been established that there is a sovereignty from the universe that we look at, and there is a lordliness from the universe, the system in the place, and how things come about, and we see there is also, we see the rububiyyah of Allah. And so if those are the things that are established already, so there shouldn't be any question about his power and will and intentions, if that's the right word, to create afterlife. This is logically established, and he is capable of doing it. So there is no question about it. So this is what I understood.
Great.
Good.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. Colin Abi, it's your floor now.
I can't really add very much to that. Rububiyah is this act of tarbiyah, nurturing and educating and bringing out all of the capabilities and potentialities of human beings and the rest of creation. And obviously, he is Sultan, he has absolute power. And it's through these names that the whole of the universe comes into being. So, someone who obviously has those perfections is not going to forget his faithful servants and fail to reward them. And he's not going to overlook those who also fail to serve him. I mean, it's crazy, a crazy idea. Even if we just see the notion of, sorry, 1 second. Even if you see the notion of tarbiyah as education, and you think of a teacher is always going to reward the good students and always going to keep behind or punish the students who've been bad. So I mean, this is like it's 2 + 2 = 4, really. When you realize Allah is Rabb Mutlaq and Sultan Mutlaq, why then would he ignore these things? Why would he ignore his faithful servants and also his unfaithful ones?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Colin Hocam, Mustafa Hocam. Is there any brothers that who would like to contribute? To first truth. The second truth is a little bit longer. I don't think that we have enough time to cover all these. We can maybe, but
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Go ahead.
What came to my mind regarding the rububiyyah, the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting his word, Kalamullah. After Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it is starting with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So Quran is starting with praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord, the sustainer of all the worlds. So it's Ustad's starting to prove the eternal life, the resurrection, the existence of the next life. With the name of Arab is also so meaningful, because the rububiyyah is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rububiyyah is essential. Allah is introducing himself as Allah, Rahman, Rahim, Rabb. So it's one of the most important names of Allah in the Quran, and it is also maybe after the name of Allah and Rahman and Rahim, mostly repeated name, Rabb. So the one who is managing, the one who is providing all kinds of needs. So there should be, of course, those who are complying with the commands of Allah. There must be a realm, absolutely, for rewarding, and those who are neglecting or denying this sustaining, absolutely there must be a realm of requital, the punishment. So this is one of the pillars of essential matters of Quran.
Great. Thank you so much, Jasmine Hocam. Is there any brothers who wants to add and then wants to say anything about these names, and as well as that it starts first through? I mean, this is something, Bismillah, we started. Yeah, go ahead. Any brother?
I can
Or
give
if
an
you wanted
example
to.
from
Go
my
ahead.
life a little bit.
Sure.
So I have teaching a course. I'm teaching courses, and I go to the first class, right? And then when I get into class, the students have a couple questions in their minds, all of them. So you have to answer those questions. What are those main questions that I have in their mind. So what is the expected outcome of this class, the course? And how are you going to grade us? And what type of exam are you going to do? So this is their main thoughts and their questions that they have. So I have to explain them. I'm gonna be expecting you to do these during the class, and at the end of the class, I will be grading your actions, your performance, based on these criteria. And that clears up the floor for me to introduce what I'm going to be talking about. So this is the system. This is how it should work. You know, we are motivated. I mean, I'm kind of lord of the class at the time, right? So I am educating them, and for them to be educated, they want to know the reward system and the punishment system. Let's say, for the sake of the example. So this is how it should be. You know, you have to be motivated, and there should be a punishment and a reward, so that you will acknowledge the lordship of the authority. And Ustad also explains this, and this is how it is supposed to be, and it's how Allah created us and put that psychology in our minds.
Mustafa
So,
Hocam,
yes.
the course that you're teaching, what is the pass mark?
Pass mark, let's say 50 over 100.
50. 50 out of 100. Okay, you should do this little thought experiment. When they've done their exams and they're waiting to be graded, you should say that everyone who got more than 50 has failed. And everyone who got less than 50, you can go to the next class with distinction.
Yeah, sure.
And then see what they say.
They're gonna kill me.
Yeah, well, why not?
Yeah,
I
that's
They
don't
will
mean
leave
why
the
true.
not
class
kill you.
immediately.
Astaghfirullah. No, I mean why not? I didn't mean why don't they not kill you, but why
Yeah.
not do this just as a joke?
Experiment, yeah, right.
And then say, look, all of you, there is a hereafter. If you don't believe me, I will carry on and I will do this.
Yeah. I'll also add something that these days that we are hiring new people, and then there is a job description, and in that job description that we are clearly writing that this is what you are expected to do, or our expectations, and this is what you are expecting or what you need to do during that job or time that you are here. And they are reading it and reviewing it and signing it. I said that this is like something qalu bala, and when the rules were our soul created, and we're saying yes to Allah. So this is basically that the job description. And when you are here in this world, and number one is that whole cosmos is telling us that where we are coming from, and then Quran second, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the third, and all of them are telling us that what is our purpose here, where we are coming, and what we are going to do here, and what we are going to go, where we are going to go, and whole these just intizam, well order, that what we were discussing before is clearly telling us that our job and what we need to do, if we cannot do that, follow the policy and procedures. That's what we are saying. I'm going to use the same word. If you don't follow the policy and procedures, you will have some kind of discipline actions. And this is basically what it is. Yeah, if we don't follow what we are supposed to do or to follow, then we will either get punished, or we will have some kind of unlimited rewards, maybe, inshallah. May Allah give us the unlimited rewards as well to everybody. Great. Thank you so much.
That's a great allegory, Hikmet, because why do we sign contracts? Really interesting what the concept of a contract is. It goes back to the qalu bala, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
All contracts. All
ahead,
contracts in human existence go back to the contract of the amana and the qalu bala and the acceptance of the khilafah. It's very interesting.
Exactly, yeah. It is indeed.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much for all the panelists and both Colin Abi and Mustafa Abi, and then all the brothers and sisters who are joining us. I think that I will stop. Inshallah, we'll see you guys next week. And then I will invite Jazmi Abi or Ali Abi, whoever is available, to make dua for this week.
إن شاء الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين وآلهم والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم فهمنا أسرار القرآن كما تحب وترضى ووفقنا لخدمته آمين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. O Allah, grant us understanding of the mysteries of the Quran as you love and is pleasing to you, and grant us success in the service of it. Ameen, through your mercy, O most merciful of the merciful. Ameen. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.